We're Brianna and Keely, and you're listening to the Where We Live podcast, where we discuss all things home.
You'll hear from us on residential real estate, the process of buying and selling a home, design trends, entrepreneurship, faith, and much more. In this episode, we have the honor of interviewing our broker, Mark Wolfe, a native Dallasite and a player in the real estate industry for 47 years. He and his wife founded RE/MAX DFW Associates in 1983. Today, RE/MAX DFW Associates has 5 offices with over 300 agents in the Dallas area and is the 10th largest RE/MAX company in the United States. He has received honors including RE/MAX International Broker Owner of the Year and the RE/MAX of Texas Broker Owner of the Year. He has also served as mayor and city councilman in Coppell.
Mark is our go-to resource for news on what may be changing in real estate, both for agents and consumers. We are so grateful every day for the value he brings. We could think of no one better to interview about today's market, where we're headed, and what that means for buyers and sellers today. So buckle up, because today will be jam-packed with great discussion. Let's get into it. Well, Mark, welcome. We're so glad that you're here.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
So we'd like to start, for those that have never heard of a broker, can you just give us a brief overview of your role and what that actually means?
Well, boy, that is a big question, because my role involves so many things. Certainly, I sponsor agents, and I'm responsible for the agents, responsible for everything that they say and do in Texas. Texas is a unique state in liability, that even if you're at a party and you make some comment, I am responsible for that comment. So that, along with the nurturing and training, encouraging of my agents, along with just building a support system that supports them to be successful. To me, that is my role. I see no other role in my operation than to be there for my agents.
And you do such a great job of that, and we are so grateful to have you playing that role for us.
Thank you.
Thank you. So Mark, you've been in real estate for a long time, and you've seen the ebbs and flows of the market. So in your opinion, how does today's market compare to your experience of the real estate markets in the past?
There is no comparison. I mean, there truly is not a comparison. The Dallas-Fort Worth market has always been a growth market, has always been a market where people are moving to, but it's also always been a market where it's been an annual appreciation rate of about 3 to 4% a year, and just a very, very stable market. We've had our recessions every 7 to 10 years, but our recessions, for the most part, have been mild. Did have 2 very major ones, but this market that we're in today is a nationwide phenomena. I don't know that we've ever had a nationwide market like this, where home prices are going up everywhere. I was in Wichita Falls this past weekend with family. That's a market that never changes, and they are as hot as can be. So it's an unusual situation that we're in right now. Dallas-Fort Worth, I think, is unusual with the rest of the country, in that whatever happens in the economy, whatever happens in Washington, D.C., whatever happens in the world market, there are so many people moving here now because of factors elsewhere that we're going to be a strong market regardless. So.
Great info. I mean, for you, just thinking about buyers and sellers out there in today's market, I mean, what are the pros and cons of this unique market that we're seeing?
Well, certainly for the seller, there's lots of pros. Our market in May was up 26% over May a year ago. That's unprecedented. That's unsustainable. But for our sellers, that's phenomenal. It is a market where the millennials are having a very hard time. We were always told for the last many years that millennials would never be home buyers, that millennials would be urban core, and that has proved not true. COVID has changed that millennial mindset. They want their own home with their own backyard. The The culture, the theater, the arts are not as important. They want that family environment, which is provided in, most parts of Dallas, certainly in the suburbs. And so millennials have become home buyers. It is an extremely hard market for new agents to get started. It is a great market for seasoned agents if they know and if they've been trained how to handle this market with so many multiple offers and so many issues that we have in this marketplace. These sellers are getting more for their home than they ever thought possible. But the downside of that is we do have tax values, and Texas leans heavily on property tax values versus an income tax state. We've always prided ourselves on being one of the 7 states without an income tax. But in this market, we're going to see some sizable increase in property values. Cities should be able to lower their tax rate because they are bringing in more money. But in my 47 years and in my life that I had in politics, it doesn't happen. They seem to find ways to spend that money. So it is a change. We're also in a change where you can live where so many people are working from home with COVID, and with that, we are having a new environment of people working from home that is permanent, so that people can live anywhere. So they can buy that affordable home, 30 miles, 40 miles outside of the urban core, and with their internet connection be live, be right there at their office. We've never had that before, and that is a new thing. So it's an interesting market. I see so in my neighborhood, so many men and women work from home that people are out walking their puppy all day long. People are meeting each other, and through this past year and a half, we now know every 63 families in our neighborhood. It's become a very close environment. That's enjoyable. My wife has eaten, throughout our marriage, we've always gone out to eat. Not because my wife wasn't a great cook, it was just we were always so busy. We have eaten at home every night this week. Now, we didn't cook it, we brought it in, but it's still, we've eaten at home and enjoyed the backyard. So that's a new environment for people. It really is. Long answer to a short question. Go ahead.
Great answer.
Great answer, yes. You touched briefly in a few minutes earlier that year over year, I think you said 23% increase in our local market here in the Dallas area. Do you have any, you also said that it's not sustainable. So our question for you is, do you have any apprehensions about the way that prices are currently increasing?
If it stayed like it has been for the last 2 or 3 months, yes, I would have some real apprehensions. But I do think you're going to see third quarter, this is my prediction, that it's going to moderate. But I do think we're not going back to that 3 or 4% increase. I think it's probably going to be a 7 to 9% annual increase. We are the new, I've read numerous articles recently, Dallas-Fort Worth is the new Southern California. All the boom that Southern California had for so many years has now just been transferred to Dallas. And we are now at a point, the latest stat I showed that 1 out of 5 home buyers now are either from California, New York, or Chicago. Those are high-tax states. Those are places where people want to move from. And so it used to be in the early days of the California moves here, it was transfers. Now it's just people saying, nope, I can work, I can still have my office in LA, but I can live in Dallas-Fort Worth. I know I don't have the beach and the mountains, but I have a better home environment, friendlier neighborhoods, and the factors that are now more important to us, bottom line. So,
we've certainly seen more relocation clients than ever before this year. And it is shocking that the change in attitude, because you can sell your condo in California, in New York City, and come buy your $1 million home here, and they think that that's cheap. They can't believe what they get for the space. So It is definitely a meeting of those things kind of here in Dallas, and I can see where the price increases are coming from. The question we're getting a lot, Mark, is this a bubble? Are people unwise to be buying right now at the prices the way they are?
I don't think so. I really don't think so. There's many, you see different economists saying different things, and there's one economist that has been negative for 20 years and will continue to be so. It's the Fitch report that now, that always says that Dallas homes are too expensive for our area, for our market. We don't have the beach, the mountains, the terrain, what have you, to support these prices. But what we do have are the people, and the people keep coming. And so I just don't see that we're in a bubble. I see that we will moderate, but I don't see that. I have been in my 47 years. I have been in markets that were just going strong, and all of a sudden just collapsed. In 1987, 88, when the market was booming, and there were three factors that hit. The Washington D.C. made some changes on oil production, which basically shut down oil production in West Texas. At that time, Dallas was very dependent on oil. Today, it's only 3% dependent. We had a savings and loan crash that was, again, a federal type situation, but that really affected the Dallas market. And we actually had a real estate crash. So all of those factors together, we had foreclosures, we had bankruptcies, we had every builder going under, developments going under. But we just changed the market. The market went from working with transferees to working with people that have been being foreclosed in their home to get their home sold quickly, and working with short sales and all those different types of things. I don't see that happening here, because in this market, so many people, most buyers, are putting down a tremendous amount of money. We've never had that in the Dallas market before. 30% of our home sales last month were cash. But even at that, most home sales, if they are mortgage finance, it's 20% down or greater, because people are having to put down more than the appraisal. So when you have that type of investment, that type of equity, even if there is a downturn, you still have equity in your home. Not like in the past recessions where people did not have equity.
Yeah. So. I do think so. The majority of the people that are listening to this podcast, ourselves included, are millennials. And so we remember very well the real estate crash. And I think for most of us, we assume that that's going to happen again. I think I'm talking to clients all the time about that. They assume that that's a normal part of the cycle. And so, I mean, where do you think we're headed for the rest of 2021, 2022? We're hearing people constantly say, I'm just going to wait for prices to go down. We have our own thoughts about that, but just would love to hear your thoughts on that.
Well, for Dallas-Fort Worth, I just do not think they're going to go down. Even at worst, the prices just begin to become stagnant, if you will. No increase, no decrease. There's too many factors going in the positive way for Dallas-Fort Worth. I was really concerned, to be honest, at the change in administrations, because one administration approached housing, spending, the economy very different than the next one. But it seems to be that there is that constant conflict in Washington, D.C., that now nothing's getting done because one side's opposed to what the other side is doing, but there's enough people that are opposed to some factors that I think that some of the fears of huge tax increases, some of the fears of things that might hurt our economy and home prices and what have you, I just don't think is there. So with that, we continue this acceleration, and that's really what it is. It's an acceleration of people moving to Texas now. My concern is, could we slow it down? I mean, literally, could we slow some of this transfer in down? Because Kay and I had to go out literally in the boonies this weekend to a wedding reception that was literally 60 miles from our house, going north of McKinney, out farther past Farmersville, Princeton, and places I'd never been before. It was home construction everywhere you looked. And then there's signs, future development, 4,000 homes. I mean, it was out in the middle of nowhere. So we are truly Southern California now.
Wow. So this future outlook, how does that change your recommendations for buyers and sellers?
Well, my concern for buyers today are many. There's a lot of panic buying going on. You mentioned people that said they're just going to wait it out. Other people fear they need to they need to buy now before the prices keep going up. And so people are, millennials especially, I read a report the other day that the majority of millennials are unhappy with the home they purchased. And if that is true, it's because it was panic buying. And I read a report in one of our markets, and not in Dallas-Fort Worth, but 40% of all the homes sold, the buyers did not even look at the home before making the offer. The offers were just going in.
No way.
And they might look at it during inspections and option period or whatever. But my recommendation to buyers is slow down. You don't need to get out of the market, but you don't need to panic buy as well. And I do think there are people that say, well, once the forbearance is over with and you're going to see a lot of homes go on the market, you're going to see some homes going on the market. But why put your home on the market when you come out of forbearance if the home has gone up 25-40% in home value while you weren't making your mortgage payments? So so I don't see a lot of homes coming on the market. So I recommend go ahead and buy, but love what you buy. Just don't buy anything that comes on the market.
Good advice.
Very sage advice. Do you feel like our inventory problem is going to be solved anytime soon?
No, I do not. I think the inventory problem that we have now is with us. It will moderate some. I mean, we're seeing an increase of homes coming on the market. That's the funny thing. We have almost the same amount of homes coming on the market now, but they're selling so fast. So, with our company was up 94% last month over May a year ago. A lot of that is through home value increase, but 60-70% of that was because we closed more homes. So the homes are out there. It's just there's so many buyers, and so with that we're having a very, very limited inventory, unlike what we've ever seen before in the Dallas market. I don't see that changing in the short term at all. So if somebody's going to wait for a year or two, they're maybe defeating themselves in what they're trying to do, to be honest.
Anything else you feel like you want to leave the audience with? This has been wonderful.
There's two or three things that I have there's real concerns about. First of all, everything we do now is DocuSign or some mode of signing contracts. In that, it doesn't allow for the buyers to really read what they're signing. And I really recommend they have a hard copy of that, go through that with their agent line by line before they sign any DocuSign. The case in point that has just, of all the things in our market that has really freaked me out, that I have real concerns, is this new thing that I just announced to my agents. The builders, some of our builders in the market, putting in the termination for convenience clause, that the builder can back out of the contract at any time, all the way up to closing, and keep all the money the buyer has put into the home, just because they want to, because they can put the home on the market for another $100,000 higher than what they had contracted with that buyer for. If the buyers had read their contract, they would have known that clause is in there and either scrap the clause or what have you. But we have two situations now in our company where right now we have one where the buyer is going after the builder legally, but the bottom line is they DocuSigned without their agent present. They just felt they could go ahead and DocuSign that contract, and in there was a clause that they signed off on that said the builder could do that, and that's exactly what the builder's doing. So I have real concerns with those type of things that are going on in such a rushed market. So, read what you're signing, be careful with, just take that extra pause, if you will, in the market that we're in.
Yeah, and I think there's even situations, right? We're not attorneys. And so some of this is, it would be worth your time and effort to get an attorney involved, I think, especially when building.
Well, If you think you want that builder and you're on a waiting list for that builder, because most every builder has a wait list, ask to go ahead and get a copy of the sales contract and review it so that when it is time for you to sign, you know what you're signing. So,
Always such good advice. We appreciate you so much, Mark.
sure. Well,
Thank you for being here.
You two are awesome in your business. So I am so proud of you and your accomplishments, what you've done in just a very few years, and the accolades you receive from your buyers and the surveys that come back. You ladies are just doing a great job.
Thank you so much, Mark. Couldn't do it without you.
Thank you.
Isn't he the best? Mark is incredibly knowledgeable, and we hope you enjoyed hearing from a seasoned real estate veteran. Today gave us some food for thought also on how to help buyers and sellers navigate this unprecedented market.
Many thanks to Mark for his time today. For more real estate news, economic predictions, and local housing market stats, subscribe to our twice-monthly email list at dallashaven.com/insiders. We love keeping you up to date. That wraps up another episode of the Where We Live podcast. We want to hear which topics interest you most for our upcoming shows.
Head on over to wherewelivepodcast.com to continue the conversation in our Facebook group, read our blog, and connect with us. Thanks for tuning in.